Welcome to the show, Education in Our Community. I am your host, Reverend Robert McKnight of the Rock of Truth Baptist Church. We have sharing with us today a trailblazer, a modern trailblazer, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Van Hook. And we are going to be talking about exploring new ideas in higher education. We're going to look at the offering of an advanced degree or graduate degree in the area of leadership. And so welcome to the show, Dr.
Thank you.
Van Hook.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
We have so much to talk about. One of the first things, though, you are a local pastor here. You have roots in the Bay Area. And so where is your work? And tell us about it briefly, if you will.
Yes, I pastor the community church in West Oakland. We are a church basically that's affiliated with the larger body of the Wesleyan Church. We've been at the location for about 7 years in West Oakland. And so God has blessed us tremendously in the work of West Oakland in the community, where we live, work, and worship, to build partnerships with those who are migrating in and for those who have already been staples in our community. Now,
Where in West Oakland? Give us a physical address.
1527 34th Street is our address, bordering Emeryville and Oakland. If you Google us, it'll tell you we're in Emeryville, but that's really not where we are. We're actually on the border of Oakland or in Emeryville, so that's where we are on 34th Street. When you come in, that big main street is Mandela on one end and Peralta on the top, or Adeline.
Excellent. And so that area, I was passing through there the other day. I was leaving a local business there in that little strip mall, and I noticed two developments of multi-unit condominiums going up. And so there is really going to be some growth in that community. And what are you doing in anticipation of this growth? Because we know, and we don't need to get into it, that that area is undergoing process of gentrification. You think your ministry will have something to offer all of the new residents? It may even be diverse, but it'll be different.
Well, definitely.
Economically speaking.
Definitely, as you see the buildings going up, those are actually apartment buildings where you won't be able to buy, but you'll be able to rent. And the rents will start at $3,200 a month. Down the street from that major building complex, you have over 200 people living underneath the Peralta 35th Street, 36th Street Bridge that's living in homeless tents. And so as we are experiencing the migration patterns and that's happening in West Oakland, it's really from the popular opinion, out with the old, in with the new. And so we are really trying our best to embrace both communities. So at our church, we feed those who are in our neighborhoods who are less fortunate, that are underneath the bridge, but we also have classes and experiencing the community development of those who are coming in. All of the above need a savior. And we believe that we don't have a certain kind of gospel, but the gospel. And so we speak to both those who are coming in and then those who are still left behind or leaving.
Now, I heard Dr. King, a speech by Dr. King. Did not hear him in person, but I heard a speech by him. And so he said that the purpose of the Black church, one of the many purposes of the Black church and the leadership that it provides, was to articulate the longings of the people. But since 1968, 70s, and on up to where we are in 2017, it appears that a vacuum has been created in terms of leadership within the collective black community, politically, socially, in education, and unfortunately, from observation. This is not criticism or condemnation or being judgmental, but observation. Also, maybe a lack of leadership from the collective church. We are not talking about one individual denomination. And so what we need to do is address this overall vacuum of leadership in the African American community. And I understand that you are embarking now, a matter of fact, it's in process, creating an educational program in upper education that perhaps might address this very need. Tell us something about it.
Well, yes, thank you for the privilege of sharing, let me sharing. The truth of the matter is, it actually starts with you because you gave me an opportunity to work in education. I had big dreams, but one of them was to be a part of the educational system. So the opportunity that you gave me led me to the opportunity that we have today. Case in point, our numbers for the black church in the inner cities across the nation are on the decline faster than we can prepare for the people who are coming in. We are having pastors that are leaving the inner city, moving out to the suburbs because they're following the people.
My.
Those pastors that are in the inner city, especially when you call the black church, we are experiencing exodus of our people who tell us, me as a pastor, after they move, I've had 4 members just this year to buy homes in Antioch and Pittsburgh area. And every one of them said to me, Pastor, I'm not leaving the church. I'll be here, and my commitment will remain the same. But truth of the matter is their commitment has waned down to at least from 4 Sundays every week and throughout the week. They're now down to probably 2 Sundays, if not 1 Sunday, because they can't take that drive back in. And so because we are losing our effectiveness as the black church in the inner city, we have to prepare not to just speak to black people. I grew up in the South in the 60s, and my first schooling was a white teacher teaching black students and white students. But at that time in integration, no African American instructor could teach white students. And it seems like it's that way happening in the church, that the white pastor can pastor African Americans and African descents, but it's very difficult for white people to be led by African descent people. That's a dual complex. That's a hegemonic. I learned that word in school. That's a hegemonic bind, because the black preacher has to have a different gospel that's not totally rooted in our experiences, because Euro and other nationalities don't have the experiences or both the burden of the heat of the day. And so we can't talk about a by and by gospel, because a lot of our cultural and ethnic diversities don't understand from whence we've come. So we have to have a different way of articulating the gospel, not the black gospel, but the gospel of Jesus Christ, that will be encompassing of every culture, every race, every creed, and every color. So therefore, I'm trying my best to create an institution and an opportunity where we can begin to, first of all, have the conversation of how does our gospel in the black church sounds to the greater world. And I really believe that we have the best gospel, but we have to make it relevant to a people that does not know our burden and our plight, that well, we had to struggle in the heat of the day.
Now, what I would like to do is invite you back to do a show on gospel search so we can talk about that, because we'll be here for hours and we will never get around. And I want to tell the audience we're going to come back to that topic. We need to discuss it. But what I want you to address today, because the opening date, the beginning of it, is fastly approaching. You have developed graduate program in leadership that you will commence in March of 2018. And so classes will be there at Patton University. I think that's 35th Avenue, somewhere in there, at the old Patton University. And I noticed there's something unique about it. You could have completed a certain number of undergrad units without having obtained your bachelor's degree, and you can still be accepted in this master's program. Now, if that's not correct, please tell me about it.
Yes, let me just back up just a little bit and talk about education. And education to me equals options. Mm-hmm. When you don't have education, you don't get to choose. It gets to choose you. Mm-hmm. And it chooses you based upon your social and economic stability within your culture, your community, and the climate that you actually speak to. And so what we have done is we're noticing a great exodus of biblical education or religious education leaving this greater Bay Area. We've had 4 seminaries to leave education, and even Patton itself a few years ago was under a lot of educational strain, and it closed down. And so we are now trying to reinstitute a institution back on the University of Patton campus that's going to help us not only build an educational opportunity spiritually, but we're also working with economic development. And so we're starting with a M.A., a Master's of Arts in Leadership, so that we can begin to talk about what is it going to take in this day and time to be effective and look at the models and best practices around leadership. John Maxwell, he's one of the guys that I follow, and he says that everything rises and falls on leadership.
That's right.
And because it rises and falls on leadership, then the leader is responsible. And I often tell people, which they don't like for me to hear this, but it doesn't matter who you are, but you are responsible. I'm responsible for both my failures and my successes. And so we have an opportunity that's starting in March the 5th, 2018, that will launch a Master's in Leadership that will actually help develop ministers and Christian leaders, or if you're not a Christian leader, you get a chance to join a cohort, a 36-hour cohort that you can go to school for 2 years, get a master's degree for a nominal price that won't have you paying student tuition fees for the rest of your life. And so we have I have a chart here. It's a John Perkins Master's in Leadership, which actually starts at Patton University. Indiana Wesleyan University has partnered with us for phase 1 of a 3-phase process. The first phase, because we could not start with the undergrad, we had to start with a grad degree. And so if there's anybody who has Christian experience or who have worked in the church, of whether it be in Sunday school, daycare, whatever it is, if you can demonstrate your Christian experience and the work that you have done within the local church or a religious affiliation, we can take that as work applied. If you have 60 units of an accredited degree, any place, case-by-case basis, we're trying our best to make sure that people get an opportunity to get a working experience so that they can be prepared where they live, work, and worship for the future of educating our people. And we'll begin to talk about how do you raise money in this curriculum and the course. We will talk about how does trauma impact your leadership skills, and how do you recognize it, how do you see it, and then recognize that you can't do this independently or by yourself. In our community, my experience is the preacher was the wellspring of all knowledge, but the truth of the matter is the preacher is overwhelmed with so many complex issues that we are literally a community, and we have to be able to be prepared on how to meet the needs of the people, both in the White House or in the poorhouse, whichever one you prefer. And even if the White House is not the top, whatever that top house is, we need to be able to deal with those issues. So we have an opportunity, and the pay scale is workable. You can get financial aid, and we will work with you in order for you to come on board and get a master's degree in leadership, even if you don't or have not completed your bachelor's degree, but that have at least 60 hours and can demonstrate that you have been working to build community from a faith perspective. We will actually take you in as a candidate, and you have to write papers to demonstrate your effectiveness, but you will start at that degree level.
That's excellent. Because in the early 80s, several universities began to give credit for life experiences.
That's exactly what it is.
You would write up something like a resume, a biography, and they would evaluate it and interview you, and they would reward you, or that is, grant you X number of years based upon your life experience.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad to see that you have revisited that idea. And it is excellent, you know, for re-entry students who went first into the marketplace or the military, and then decided to come back to college, that this experience that they have gained is valuable and it is acknowledged. I think it encourages them to go ahead and complete that undergrad or graduate degree, because as Malcolm X said, that education is the passport to the future. And so what if I want to participate in this program, in this 36-hour, 2-year master's degree program? What is my first step? Who do I talk with?
Well, we have a couple different ways you can get to this degree. Number one, you can actually get my information, call me directly so that I can work with you through the process. Or you can go to wesleyseminary.com. Wesley, Indiana, Wesleyan Seminary is our accrediting body. They're coming all the way from Wesley Seminary in Indiana, Marion, Indiana. So there's a number that I can give and some information that I can give. Then we have cards of information where you can actually fill it out, sign, and begin to work that process so that you can become a part of the seminary. You'll get a chance to see what the course is, what the course is all about, and all of the things that go along in the course itself. And so it's so very important that you contact us or Wesley Seminary at Wesley Seminary, seminary.indwes.edu. Or you can call this number, 877-673-0009. But it's easier for those who are in this area because people will be coming from all over the country to get a urban experience, because the truth of the matter is the inner city is not only the most pivotal place, but it also can be pitiful. And so, but people are moving back to the inner city in droves, and we need to be prepared. So again, that number is 877-673-0009. And seminary.indiana Wesleyan, INDWES.edu. And this course will be online.
Excellent. Now, do you have, I'm certain that they are going to put it on the screen, but the information, contact information that you gave, what is it for you locally? If someone wanted to contact you after the show to
Yes.
give you a call,
Yes.
what number would they call?
You can call 510-594-2207. I almost gave you my cell phone number.
So that's 510
594-2207 is our office number, or you can email us at ccc, the number 4, Christ, Christ, at gmail.com, ccc for Christ at gmail.com, or you can go to our church's website, and that is thecommunitychurch.tv, and you should have a link or something that will help guide you to the process so that you can link up with this educational opportunity. We have 3 phases. The first phase will start at a grad degree. The second phase is at a grassroots level, where we've been able to partner with Greg McMinnis. You don't know the name, but you do know the inventor of Rice-A-Roni and Ghirardelli chocolate, Greg McMinnis, who is actually on board with all 3 phases of our program. We will be launching the phase 2 in 2018. And that's really a grassroots, people who have been displaced, people who have had to go to work and could not get an education. But we want to connect them to the job market and put them through a program that they will actually get paid for, to go through a program and then get connected to jobs in Silicon Valley and to the workforce. That's phase 2 of our program. Phase 3 will be an accredited undergrad degree in the majority of all of the disciplines that Indiana University, Wesleyan School University will actually give. So we're in phase 1. We couldn't start at the bottom, so we had to start where we could get in. So we're at the master's degree level. And so I'm asking those of you who know, and those of you who might be at that level where you can work on a master's degree. And if you look at the information here, it says for 36 hours, if you are a non-Christian, non-pastor, non-nothing, you can pay $477 per credit hour, which is $17,000 to get an accredited master's degree. If you are a pastor or a ministry leader, you can come in at $377. And if you actually happen to be a part of my movement, we actually drop you down to $277. And then what's not on the paper, but my actual district here, we take off another $100, and you can get an earned master's degree at the state-of-the-art level for almost like $177 a credit hour. That's $5,000. I mean, who wouldn't want the opportunity where they can get an accredited upper level master's degree and be able to work both sacred and secular and work to build the kingdom and the society as we know it.
I think that is excellent because you're also developing, you're teaching leadership skills.
Yes.
And one of the things that is lacking, I think it is obvious by the continued growth of individuals who are displaced, who are dispossessed, communities of them are popping up all over the city of Oakland.
Yes.
Because there's no one there to articulate, as Dr. King said, their longings. Dr. King was assassinated in 1968. He took a detour and went to Memphis to help the sanitation engineers there. But Dr. King was on his way to Washington, D.C., because they had a poor people's campaign. They had a tent city in Washington, D.C., and they were going to have a poor people's march on D.C. to bring the plight of the underclass to the attention of this country and the world. And of course, he didn't live to see that. And long story, we'll talk about that again on another program. But we need to do something to bring to the attention of the people the plight of the dispossessed. And I don't want to go into a meeting. I don't want to have committees. I want a program of action. I don't want to hire some people. I want to know, what are we going to do in the morning to get these people off the street? Because we have families, we have children, we have elderly, and we have those who are in need of mental health care.
Very much so. Very much so. A couple things that I wanted to really bring out. I'm a pastor, been preaching for a long time. And we talk about what God can do. But what's amazing with these millennials, the young people, they don't want to know what you know. They want to know what you have done and what they can see. And the preacher now has to go beyond talking about what God can do, but we've got to start demonstrating it. And we appear to be hypocritical when we talk about the God on the cattle of 1,000 hills, and he can do whatever, but we have nothing to show. And so what I decided to do was not be a victim of my own circumstances of what God can do, but begin to get with God and demonstrate what he is doing. And so by me partnering with a whole university and them having enough confidence to come from Indiana all the way here because they are partnering with me, demonstrates my credibility. But then to be partnering with a billionaire in Greg McMinnis, who wants to write the check. I'm now moving out of the God of our ancestors and move into a God that can demonstrate how we can create an opportunity. And so I'm moving out of the conversation of what God can do and demonstrate what he is doing by the effectiveness of what the opportunities that we're trying to present.
I like that. And we're wrapping up, but there's a great benediction scripture in the Bible, I think, that addresses this from Ephesians 3:24, that says, "Now unto him
yes,
who is able to do exceeding abundantly beyond, above, all that we ask or think, according to the power that works
within us.
Yes. For to God be the glory in the church, in Christ Jesus, to all generations, forever and ever, world without end. Amen." I want to thank you for coming, taking time out to be with us. And I wish you well. Now, just in case someone wants something to put in their hand tomorrow morning, give us the address of your church.
Absolutely.
And maybe you can put a packet of these in the hands of the greeters, and they can give them to them. So give us the address to your church again.
We have a service at 10 a.m. We have what I call a boot camp, traditional church at a Sunday school. We call it a boot camp. Our address, 1527 34th Street, at our 10 a.m. morning worship. If you are really a student of the word, come at 8:30 to our boot camp so that you can actually get some of the classes. And we will have not only information in writing, but we also will give you a backpack that will give you all of the containment and a couple of books to go in that backpack so you have something that you can take with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And until next time, I am Reverend Robert McKnight saying blessing.